Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to today's conversation. I'm your co-host, Enolia welcoming my co-host, Sara Jane. Want to say hi?
Hi, yeah.
And our special guest today is Ana Marinho. Say hi, Anna. We're so
Hello,
excited to have
everybody.
you. Yes. And today's conversation is self-healing, ignite our inner healing abilities. And instead of trying to do a formal introduction, Anna, why don't you just tell us a few words about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. And my journey started a long time ago. I graduated as a physical therapist about 13 years ago. Then today I am a physical therapist. I do mind and body coaching, and I also do intuitive healing. Then part of my work, it's bridging the science and the intuitive world with the spiritual and the mental all combined with the knowledge that I have from neurophysiology, neuroscience, all the knowledge that I learned from physical therapy, and all the intuition that I have from being a media and being having this gift of being able to read energy and transmute energy.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with us. So then that leads me to my very first question. You define self-healing is the ability of the body to heal itself. Now, knowing with all of your experience, how would you bridge your work as a physical therapist and all of this intuitive aspect with coming to the result of self-healing is the ability for the body to heal itself?
Beautiful. This is one of my favorite topics because going back all the way 13 years ago when I was in biology class, we had some lab and be able to look into the microscope and see the tendency of the body is healing. The cells multiply. There is nothing they need to tell the cells to multiply. There is nothing to say the body that the heart needs to beat. The body knows exactly what to do. It's such a high-level machine, if you want to put it this way, like the best machine we can ever invented. We can't create anything like that with the wisdom that we already have inside. For example, if you cut your finger, it heals. You don't have to do anything for that skin to heal. And if the skin is not healing, something is off with your body. Then what I start to notice with the knowledge and going through all those years of experience is the default is healing. But when things are out, when something is off, that the body stops healing as well as it could. And the more we go back to that default, the more we go back to that healing state. And that's one of the beauties of the placebo effect. And when we go back, and that's pure science, there's so many research and journals being published about the power of placebo effect, that it really is, even though some doctors or some people from the healthcare field look at that as a bad thing, it is actually, for me, the way that I look is the power of the body doing what the body knows how to do. Then when we take the mind and the limitations out of the equation, the body, and you put the power of like, okay, I really want to heal, this sugar pill is really helping me. And then suddenly you give it permission for the body to go back to that default, no matter what default is. It can be something physical, emotional, or spiritual. They all have a tendency of going back to that feeling good feeling. We deserve to feel good.
Absolutely. And Sara Jane, what are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. I read the thing about the cut and I'm thinking, yes, I've used that before. It's the same with the bone. Your broken bones, it's not the plaster you put on it. It's the bone healing itself.
Mm-hmm.
We're just supporting the body's ability to heal itself. If you've got a cut, you need to clean it. Yes, you might put a plaster on it. Yes, but it's the body that heals it. You know, sort of, I've worked with people using the energy healing, and you may want to say, okay, is the energy healing that we work with a placebo? If it's giving the body the permission to empower itself back into its own self-healing mode. So having bones move under my hands, having people say that, there's something within their digestive tract that has got stuck, and a little bit of work with the energy that I use. And it was just like, I was expecting 3-4 days of discomfort, and actually it's just moved. You've just empowered the body to go back into self-healing mode. And that's what it is. So people can say, okay, it's placebo. Well, if that's what it is, great, because hopefully there are no side effects with that, other than potentially positive ones. Because I remember with homeopathy, and I'd gone through some stuff, and somebody had suggested arnica and can't remember what the other one was called, but anyway, arnica is definitely one of them. I went to them and said, any side effects? And they said, well, they'll only ever be positive, and there were, because what I was taking, I'd had period pains for years, and they went, and I wasn't taking them for that at all. So obviously what it had done, and many people class homeopathy as being more like a sugar pill, what it done is it given the body a chance to go into its own. And I think we can all tell stories from our own perspective, things that have happened for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Or that people we have worked with have experienced. And I think for me, there's an element of a power to that in this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It is about helping each one of us to empower the fact that we are so able to heal ourselves, but we have to be interactive within that.
Yeah.
So Enolia, back to you.
Well, I'm thinking about what Anna said, and to me, the body, the human body, is unbelievably fascinating. And for me, it's my temple. Because yes, it does have the capability of healing itself. It has the capability of producing energy. It has the capability of movement. If you think about all of the aspects that we are able to do as human beings, it is a fascinating temple to be in possession of. And a lot of times we take that for granted. And a lot of people look at illnesses or problems with the body as just like, oh, I don't like my body because it's not functioning the way I want it to. But really, what the human body is basically telling us is that it is always in balance. And when it is not in balance, it produces pain. When it is not in balance, it produces something that lets you know, I am not functioning right. Something needs to change. Something in my environment, something within what I'm intaking and partaking and putting into my body, something needs to change, which leads me to my next question to you, Anna, which is, how does self-discipline play a role in the self-healing of the body? And before I pass it over to you, I'll just comment that the self-discipline for me saved my life. It literally saved my life. When I had I had problems with my lymphatic system for a period of time. And I went to a neurologist who was ready and able to willing to cut into my body. And I'm like, absolutely not. You're not cutting into my body, without a diagnosis and with a 5-minute, consultation. Heck no, But I ended up going to an acupuncturist who, even though the acupuncturists don't say that, spirituality is part of their healing. They're working with the meridian system. So, in seeing an acupuncturist twice a week and the self-discipline of no processed foods, no sugar, no dairy. My mantra was there had to be food in my food. Okay. And then taking in herbs that would strengthen my adrenals, my liver, and my kidneys. I was able to reverse that scenario within 8 to 9 months. And to me, that was phenomenal, because when we first spoke, the acupuncturist was like, absolutely, there's no way that you're going to be able to do this. And I'm like, oh, yes, I will. And she's like, oh, no, you're not. And I'm like, oh, yes, I will. And 7 months later, I was at 70%, which was huge with the self-discipline. And nothing entered my mouth that didn't have food in the food, that wasn't live, a plant or otherwise. So the question would, to me, it saved my life. But how does self-discipline play a role? Anna?
Absolutely. And I love what you say, because what you say, it also incorporates willpower and deserving. And I think everybody knows at this point. I don't think that's nothing hidden in science or even on the media these days, that the habits that we have reflect our life. Do we know the food that we have, it's going to change what's inside? We know the exercise makes a big difference. We know that sleeping at least 7 to 8 hours a day, it makes a huge impact on the body. All of that, I think it's pretty well known that that's true. The question is, why don't we do it? And I think that goes back to, yes, willpower. But more than willpower, what I really see with my clients is the deserving piece. I feel like a lot of people, they are so used to being in pain for so long. They're so used to feel bad, they're feeling like crap, feeling like their body is a problem, that becomes their norm. That becomes, that's as good as I'm going to get. Then I'm going to tolerate this because, I don't know how to improve it. Then I'm just going to continue living my life because I have less problem than others, or because whatever it is that the subconscious mind hold those limiting patterns that we create, they say, I cannot get any better, or I don't deserve to get any better, or I don't know how to get any better. Therefore, I'm just not going to do anything. Then one of the biggest bridge that I see with the self-discipline itself is the moment the person recognize that yes, they can. And more than yes, they can, yes, they deserve. It is the natural state of the body is healthy. Everything that's not healthy, it's not natural state of the body, no matter what it is. And I had worked with patients that have been in pain for more than 30 years with no improvement. I have worked with patients that have lupus, fibromyalgia, all of the names that you can think of, disease and problems that the doctors in the medical field say, sorry, it's nothing that I can do for you. And that's the first thing that I usually hear is, but Ana, they told me that I cannot improve. They told me that's nothing that I can do. Then why even try to have self-discipline? Why even try to change my habits? And again, when you see that shift going from, well, I am going to take that challenge, because this challenge, like you say, is like, let me show you that I can do it, right? That it requires a lot of courage to bridge that gap and say, you know what, I'm going to do it, even though part of my brain, even though part of my subconscious, even though I have been doing that for so long and I haven't found a solution yet, even though I can still change. Then I feel like when people have that shift of the mindset, that's really when the magic happens. And it doesn't have to take long. I had seen things with patients changing with like 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. And they really take in the idea of like, you know what, my body is my temple. And I am going to really, every single action that I'm taking is going to be to help my body to heal. And those are when we see the most drastic changes. And when people make, I always say it's kind of like the results are parallel to your effort. If you make 20% changes and 20% effort, you're going to have 20% results. If you are satisfied with 20% results, wonderful. For a lot of people, 20% results is better than they could ever imagine. No judgment. But you can't expect having 100% results and doing 20% effort. And I think that's where the self-discipline becomes very obvious. It's like nobody's going to be supervising you 24/7. Then if you make the commitment with yourself, with your body, it's like, you know what? I do not want to have this pain anymore. I do not want to feel fatigue all day long. I'm tired of being tired all day. I'm tired of, feeling sad or feeling sorry for myself. I'm ready to shift either as a physical challenge or emotional challenge. I'm ready to make those changes and have a better life because I deserve to feel healthy. I feel like when people make that connection, the mindset shift, it's so much easier to stick with self-discipline.
Sarah?
It's about self-love.
Mm-hmm.
It is all about self-love. I've had, at one stage I connected with a guy and he kept saying, oh, you can help this person, you can help that person, you can help the other person. And I had to turn around to him and say, yes, that they don't want helping. They have to choose it. It has to be their choice. Could I potentially help everybody in this world? Yes, but I'm not here to. It is about choice. And some people almost enjoy what they are going through because it gives them attention. But it's outside attention, which is very sad. But it's their choice to stay stuck. And they'll spend lots of money on things that can't help them and don't help them. But there is no way they'll go anywhere near anything that might actually be able to help them. And those people do exist. And we have to accept it is their choice. When I had my wake-up call, the start of my healing journey, my whole thing started with, what can I do to help me? I wasn't looking for what others could do for me. It was, what can I do to help me? I thought, well, I can't really learn massage. And that's when Reiki was introduced. And the first person you treat when you do your level 1 is yourself. Yes, please. And that was all my intention ever was to learn level 1 Reiki for me. And I worked, and I'm going to use the word because I don't know any other word to use for it. I worked religiously with it daily because it was for me. Mm-hmm. I went to every Reiki share I could, every Reiki day I could, everything I could go to that my Reiki master provided as support, I did. And eventually I decided to go on and learn more. But it was for me. And that was my discipline. What am I doing to help? So it was the energy side of it for me. It was the food side of it for you, Enolia. It is what is it that each person speaks to each person as being the thing that will really support them. And probably a mix of both, actually, and the exercise, because I'm a great one for getting walks every day. But it is, I do have to, it's not difficult to make myself to go out for a walk, even when it's raining, because I've got the waterproofs. But that daily exercise, that daily fresh air, if you obviously can, sunshine, it's important. And it is about a daily routine. It doesn't have to be a chore unless you make it a chore. And if it is a chore, then you're not putting 100% into it.
I so agree with that. And I'm sitting here thinking about how I would address it. And, in my shamanistic practice, the first thing that we learned is spirit informs the soul, informs the emotions, and informs the body, and people address it as the body informs everything else. And it's really the reverse. And I want to talk about mindsets. We kind of talked about it in different ways. People have this mindset of wanting instant gratification.
Yes.
I want instant gratification and instant results. I came to you, fix me. No, fix yourself. And so I want to have this hard conversations, because when somebody gives you a hard conversation and basically says, change your behavior, get your act together, or you're going to die. Why is it many of us will sit there and go, oh, I got to change it. We'll change it for maybe 2 or 3 weeks and go, why am I going through these changes? I really like my ice cream. I really like my sugar. I really like my blah, 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 blah. I just don't want to do it. And then step back and go, oh, why am I in so much pain? We have to take responsibility of our own behaviors and basically say, okay, I want to live. I choose to live. I choose to live. And not only do I choose to live, like when I talked about my lymphatic system. Well, the doctor, my acupuncturist, I had planned a walk across Africa, 100-mile walk across Africa, when this diagnosis came up 7 months prior to that walk. And she goes, Enolia, your whole left side is inflamed. Your lymphatic system is literally shutting down. You're not going anywhere. You're not going on any hike or any safari, walking anywhere. And that's when I said, oh, yes, I am. And she said, oh, no, you're not. And I said, oh, yes, I am. Because I choose to do what it takes to reverse what this is. And you're not going to tell me otherwise. I don't care what framework that you have and what you've always seen and what the typical diagnosis and outcome is. None of it. I'm not having it. I know what I am capable of. I understand what my spirit says. And my spirit says, oh, yes, I am. I'm going on that walk and I'm going to do what it takes to reverse this. So I'm saying this to our audience because it's the mindset. Mm-hmm. And this is why we as practitioners basically say, you have to have a positive mindset. I was not going to adapt a doom and gloom outcome, because that's exactly what I would get, is a doom and gloom outcome. I chose to see it otherwise. I chose to see me successful on the other side, so that the path of everything I needed to do was that choice. So you just froze a little bit, so I don't know if I lost anything. Okay, there we go. Mm-hmm. You just froze a little bit. I'm like, oh no, don't tell me I lost them. So in looking at that, one of the things that I learned to do is that I learned to stop taking over-the-counter medications to pacify injuries and issues. And I learned to look at natural like essential oils. Like when I get a cold, I use basically lavender and peppermint. And if I have a sinus infection, I'll put in a little, oh gosh, now it's dating me, rosemary, along with my peppermint, and along with a little bit of germain. So I have these things that I use. But when someone is having issues, what should they go to? What is their go-to? Is it just go get help, get assistance? Is it look at some of the homeopathic things, or is it look at all of it as a combination to work hand in hand until you get the outcome that you're looking? What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question, because I have a lot of patients, they are chronic ill, and it doesn't have to be a black and white choice. And I think in the end, it really got to go back inside for the person to choose what is the best answer. But I love what you say as far as the mentality, the mindset that we have in our population right now, in our society, is what I call the microwave mentality. It's like, I want something and I want it now. And I don't want to wait a minute because that's too long. And I see that a lot. Then I think there is a place for everything. That some people do need surgery, some people do need medication. I think the combination of holistic and medicine, it can absolutely work really well. But I think the key part there, the key mindset they need to shift, it's the mindset of a active healing versus a passive healing. And that's something that I am very proud of myself, even as a physical therapist, that's somewhat a passive healing approach. I'm very active in the approach. That's something that I always explain to my patients when they come in and say, hey, this is a teamwork. You're not going to sit down on the chair or lie down on the table and I'm going to heal you. I cannot do it. Sorry. But I'm going to be here to support you to do the healing. I'm going to teach you how to heal yourself. And the example that Sarah was mentioning about the cast for the fracture, right? If you don't have a cast, the bone will heal in the wrong place. That we do need a cast. But there are so many things that we can do during the time that you have the cast to help your bone to heal faster and better. That I think that's the beauty of the combination of the science and the spiritual doing together. But if we remove that concept of, I want the result now, give me a pill because I don't want to change my diet. Give me this machine, they vibrate, they do the exercise for me, I don't need to do ab work. And it's the extent of things that I can see in the market now being sold to substitute the work, it just blows my mind because everybody's looking for a quick fix. It's like, I don't want to work out. I want to lose weight. I want to feel better. What shake can I have that I don't have to do anything else? What is the pill? Give me one pill that's going to solve all the problems. And I think if we can change that mindset to be the healer, to take that responsibility to do the things that we are responsible for, the healing would happen so much faster and the health in general of our society would be such a better place. And I think a beautiful example of that is something like diabetes type 2. And the majority of the people that are in medication right now for diabetes type 2 could reverse that with natural solutions.
Absolutely.
Exercise, diet, and
absolutely.
It goes back to the idea, we know what to do. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows what a healthy diet is. We may not agree of what the ideal diet in a sense, but everybody knows we need to eat more fruits and vegetables. Everybody knows we need to drink more water. Everybody knows we need to exercise. I think it really goes back to the responsibility of why are we even looking for help if we're not even doing the bare minimum?
Right.
And sometimes the bridge and the help is to actually get you from where you are to do the bare minimum. It's not even beyond yet. I see a lot of clients that come to me and say, hey, Ana, I know exactly what to do. I'm stuck. I cannot do it. And what we work on, the coaching part, the mindset part, the mind-body connection is like in their head, they really want to heal. But when you look at their actions,
it's not there.
Far from healing. Then there is a disconnection from what the mind say and what they really feel in their body. And making that connection is part of the work, is part of the support for some people. That's why I was saying as far as the deserving early with the self-discipline, if we can go back and work on that feeling of self-love and deserving, then we can take the steps to actually do something about it and make a choice and say, you know what, I can choose, do things for myself or go to a quick, fast path for finding the solution. I think a lot of people know about it. It's just they don't know how to unlock that part of I know it to I will. And that's where the bridge with the science and spirituality becomes such a magic combination to rewire the brain to change the patterns and the subconscious patterns that we created throughout our life.
Yes, you've just mentioned that word, subconscious, and that's exactly what it is. It's the learned behaviors, the self-preservation, that how do I protect myself, and being very aware of the things from previous conversations we've had on today's conversations of things that have gone on in my life. And that use of that word sort of subconscious recently, and realizing it's those learned behaviors. When we were children, we were hurt. There was physical pain, emotional pain, whatever it was, and we didn't know how to deal with it. But all we wanted to do was help ourselves never to experience that again. And so we learned a behavior, and we create self-fulfilling prophecies time and time again. You know, how many people go on diets, lose the weight, and then put it all back on again and more? Because they've gone back in, something has triggered and gone back into that self-preservation mode from the subconscious, because there is still a hurting child within us. And I think that was, and that's what I do. That's what I do. That is what I have done for me. I am not a healer. I can't heal anybody other than me. The tools I bring, the instruments I bring, with the energy that I bring, is what can help empower that cellular memory level of hurt, pain, and trauma. And for many people, I'm not saying everybody, but for many people, that is an aspect of the self-healing. It's great to work on the surface level. Mm-hmm. Most of the time, our body, when it comes into this illness, ailment, stress, strain, is saying it is time to deal with this old stuff. The trouble is, it is not saying, this is exactly what happened, and this is how you've got to do it, and this is what you've got to deal with. And it's just like, because it doesn't. We have no idea what it is trying to tell us. And I don't know whether anybody's read the book, because I have, and it's a book called The Journey by Brandon Bays. And she had a football-sized tumor in her stomach. And so she went into all of the juicing, the eating fresh, organic, etc., getting everything out of her diet that shouldn't be in it, because she was not being operated on or having anything, chemo or anything. She wasn't having any of that. And she was doing really well with it. But then came the awareness that there was actually that hurt child still. And then that's where, so yes, she talks in the book about obviously the journey to do with the tumor, but also the process that she developed to support people to get back to and be aware of what the hurt was and to help heal that hurt. So she's done it in her own way. I do it in my own way. And there are so many people these days that talk about working with the inner child. So I think there is a greater depth, and it's helping the child feel loved. And this is what I believe has happened for me as I worked with my younger self and all the traumas that she went through. And she started feeling loved and cared about and worthy and lovable, etc. I felt that because I spent the better part of 40 years feeling unloved, unwanted, not good enough, etc., etc. Every negative word you can come up with, I felt it. Just a waste of space, just wasn't worthy of anything. That is not how I feel. But it's about that feeling of for yourself It doesn't matter what other people, I'm just thinking, it's a famous actor who said, it's none of my business what other people think about me. And it really isn't.
Yeah.
But the biggest enlightenment to me was, but they aren't thinking about me. They've got so much going on in their own lives. Why the heck would they even be thinking about me? And when you can step and you think, but if people aren't thinking about me, why am I worrying about it? And any words or phrases that people use to you is what's going on in their life. It's got nothing to do with you. It's important to love yourself, because then you are teaching people how to treat you. And it's that self-worth that can really support you then to say, yep, my body's a temple and it's about time I started feeding it accordingly. Because until we have that love for ourselves, majority of people are going to struggle with doing the necessary from a physical point of view.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
I just wanted to add what you say, Sarah. It's actually the easiest part. Like doing the necessary, the exercise, the eating. It's the easiest part of all. And I always see that with the journey of the clients. Is like they come and like, I wanted to lose the weight. I wanted to get the pain. And you know, what trigger us to come to solve the problem is more like the surface symptoms. But then when we dig deeper and we like address all of that wound, all of that thing that stop us from actually do the things that we know, that the healing, it's like piece of cake after that. Because you're craving feel good, you're craving the good food. You don't need anybody tell you they need to do those things, because you feel better when you do it. I love what you're saying as far as yeah. Just want to add that up.
Absolutely. And to complement that too, it's interesting because as a shaman, I look at the mythic map that's already predetermined in the person's being, which is basically the fact that the trauma has taken place and the energy grows based on that trauma. So the person who's looking through the eyes of pain, you know, you think just for the moment you're looking through the eyes of pain, but those eyes of pain becomes fear, and that fear becomes anger, and that anger becomes stress, and that stress impacts the body. And then the trigger point is something that reminds you back to that trauma. And then you automatically go to stress, and the stress goes to anger, and you're angry all the time. And then therefore your body is stressed all the time. And the stress is feeding the issue or the dis-ease that your body is having that ends up becoming disease in one form or another, whatever we name it for the day, all the time. And it's cyclical. Mm-hmm. And you have to break that cycle. And that's the work that I look at doing, which is wiping that mythic map clean, which is taking away that energy that's feeding that dis-ease. But Anna, I want you to talk about how energy work plays a role in the work that you do. Because when you mentioned in the beginning all of the things you do, energy is one of the things that you work with. Absolutely. And I would love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, I think when we look, even again, bringing the science part, most of the cell is electron. Electron is energy. Then we can't really separate one thing from the other. And what I noticed in my career was I was initially, when I first started working, I was a physical therapist only. And then I was coach and healer only. Then I was kind of separating the two sides because I didn't know it was possible to combine back then. And what I noticed with the patients that came for physical only was the cycle didn't break. Then they feel better, they go and hurt themselves again. The self-sabotage. they fall for no reason, and that's a different body part now that's hurting. And I started scratching my head and I said, but you healed, the knee is better, your lower back is better, why are you back here again? And it was either the same problem or the different problem, but it was self-inflicted in a lot of times. And that's when I started to notice, it's like, okay, it's something more than just the physical. We gotta go deeper to heal the emotional part as well. And one of the things that I love, kind of complementing what you say as far as the trauma, is the same way that we have emotional trauma, the body has a trauma. And that's a piece that I don't see a lot of people working on it that is so crucial for healing. Because even when we do therapy, even when we do whatever emotional healing, there's sometimes that is not enough to release the trauma in the body. And that continues the cycle. Then what I love about the idea of the energy together, it's when we can actually dismantle the energy that's stuck in the body, the trauma that the body experiences, either in your organ, on your muscle, on your joint, on your throat, whatever it is stuck in the body, we can dismantle the energy. It goes together with the emotion. We can't really separate and say, okay, this is only body, this is only emotion, this is only energy. It becomes one big piece. And when we address all three on the same time, it's easier to dismantle the pieces because you're addressing all of that. I think with the energy piece, what is one of the parts that I love the most is going back to the active healing piece. It's the inner wisdom that we have. Then a lot of what I teach my clients is going back to being able to feel your own energy. And that's one of my biggest gifts. I kind of joke with my patients and say, I can feel your body. And my goal is by the time you finish working with me is you can feel your body better than I can feel your body. Because our body is talking all day long. Mm-hmm. Our body are giving messages all day long. Our energy, it's all day long, the access, the wisdom for us available. And we don't know. We just don't see it. We don't hear. We don't feel it. And when we start connecting to that, the energy just become part of who we are. How can we separate the electron from the proton? You know, it's one cell.
Yeah. Yes, I have to tell you, I want to add listening to your body too, because your body will tell you, like, I know exactly when a sinus infection lands. I know exactly when it lands, when it's metastasizing and flaring up in my nostrils. Mm-hmm. I know when a body part or organ is off.
Yeah.
We don't listen and check in with our own bodies. Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, I think you know, because that's exactly when I said the body wisdom, the big part of body wisdom is the listening. Absolutely. Nobody knows our bodies better than us. Yes. We can't expect meeting a healthcare provider or a healer or anybody and expect the person to know our body better than we know our body. And I think that's so important for healing, for energy. It's like you say, oh, I feel like my liver is not having a good day today. And then you go deeper and be like, okay, what can I do to support my liver?
Right.
And the body have not just the listening capability to know what the problem is, but also the wisdom to flip back and say, hey, why don't you do this? And then you get the answers. And it's different for each person. It's different every day. Then there is no protocol. But when we listening, when we honor, we listen and take actions to the message that we receive, I think that's the beauty of the energy that's inside of us.
And Sara Jane?
Absolutely. I am a great one for using a Dowson pendulum. And I use it for food. Is this something for me to eat? And the majority of greens, my pendulum says no. Greens are meant to be really good for us. but for some reason they're not for me, and people sort of say, oh, you have soy instead of, and it's just like, no, my body doesn't want that coming anywhere near it, it's just like, okay, so find a way of listening, but let's take it to a simpler level in respect of, yes, okay, organs, etc. But let's just be a simple level. If you're having problems with your eyes, what are you not seeing in your life? If you are having problems with your hearing, what are you not listening to? And the listening could be to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same as the throat. What are you not speaking? What are you not being honest about? And again, it could be just honesty with yourself. Hasn't got to be honesty with anybody else. But are you not using your power, your voice for yourself? Shoulders and neck, you're taking on everybody else's problems. Let them go. You've got enough of your own problems. Stop taking on others so that you don't have to think about your own problems. Hips, knees, ankles are great ones for saying, what are you not moving on from? What are you not letting go of in your life and stepping forward into your life? Just those simple things are your body talking to you. And I remember years ago being in a mind, body, spirit fair, and there was a young lady walking around on crutches, knee in a great big plaster, and I looked at her and I said, what are you not moving into? What are you not moving on from? And she said, how do you know? And I thought, because it's so obvious, because it's that part of your body. So yes, our body does speak to us. And if just listening to those few little bits that we all know, realize that your body does speak to you. But if you're not sure what foods to eat, yes, if you can work with a dowsing pendulum, great. I like to body dose. I literally ask my body, and it will sway forward for a yes, it'll sway backwards for a no. And I will do, and I do that.
Mm-hmm.
So listen to your body, and your body can almost literally speak to you if you were, but you have to ask questions where the answer is yes and no. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Occasionally my pendulum will just go round and round, and it's either saying you already know the answer to that, or I'm not answering you, which is probably exactly the same, because sometimes it's just verification that we're after, and it's just like, no, you verified that far too often. You know the answer. So I think there are ways of listening to our body. Yeah. There really are. And a lot of it does go back. You were talking about physical trauma, but there are a lot of physical trauma because it was a physical trauma, a physical accident that ended up by causing the emotional trauma.
Absolutely.
For the very little girl that I was at the time. And nobody knew what they were. I would say nobody knew what they were doing. They had no idea of the trauma they were causing. They do now. That's why things have changed within many hospitals, etc. But I think it's physical can lead to emotional.
Mm-hmm.
Not likely, unless, of course, it's some sort of emotional trauma, a verbal abuse against a physical abuse, then causes self-harming. And so it's usually a physical that causes an emotional.
I want to go and add to that list of how to listen to your body. And Anna, I know you want to say something about muscle testing too, because you do that a lot.
No, I don't.
Yeah. But a couple of things to add in conjunction with what Sara said, which is like people don't understand what tuning forks are all about too. Okay. And tuning forks is one modality. If you're in pain, it's really good. And just the backstory on that is Dr. John Berlew did a study on how the human body would respond to sound. And so he put himself in, using himself as a guinea pig in a soundproof booth to see how the body would respond to silence. And to his unknowing, what he realized is that he could still hear sound. And he was like, well, why am I still hearing sound? And excuse me, I mean, it's water. Why am I still hearing sound? And what he realized is that every one, excuse me, of our body parts actually vibrates at a certain key in a certain tone. So what happens is that when it stops vibrating at its norm, that's when we feel pain. That's when we feel off, out of balance, something's off. So tuning forks, and they call it human tuning, they're not tuned to a musical instrument like a musical instrument is tuned. It's actually tuned to the human body.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, I don't know why I'm getting this now.
Do you want some tuning to your throat?
No, it's actually passing. I think it's dust in the air. So what he actually found out is that if you use these tuning forks, it actually, the human body responds by going to its normal
Mm-hmm.
vibration. And that's why the pain is released.
Mm-hmm.
So the beauty about the tuning forks and using that modality is that it does relieve pain because it actually brings the body back into balance. And then I also want to talk about Dr. Masaru Emoto's work, which is the fact that if you write the word "I hate you" on a piece of paper and tape it to a cup, the vibration of those words, even written exactly,
I
love you,
and that
written
is where my
will cause bacteria. Yes, and I love you, or I'm grateful, will actually cause that water to crystallize. Well, many of us forget that our body is 65 to 70% water. So, there have been instances the way that this is used in a couple of different ways. One is, yes, you think positive because your thoughts have a vibration, your words have a vibration. Therefore, you are connecting to the vibration of your body and the water in your body. And if you're thinking toxic thoughts all the time, think about what you're doing to the water in your body. And if you're thinking positive thoughts, think about the water you're impacting in your body. Also, many of us love tattoos and henna and things like that, or just taking those words instead of applying it to the water in your cup. I've known people who've had tumors on the head and written gratitude or "I love you" and then covered it up. It's private, it's personal. And the vibration of that on the tumor, shrinking it and having those effects. Also, because they're doing a full press vibration of positive thoughts, positive writing, positivity, and trying to bring that water and that body back into balance. The other piece is that because I do meditations a lot, I really feel that this is true, and this is just a download, so you can't quote me scientifically, but I really feel that light, and light is our vibration or our frequency, informs the water in your body. The water distributes throughout the body and informs the organs. The organs produce light because it's getting fed a beautiful cellular light that it's been informed by, and it ends up being cyclical, where that light comes back through to the water feeds the organs produce more light, the light turns around and informs the water, and that's cyclical. So we have to understand that energetically, how we choose to think, to speak, to feel, to write, to allow that writing to be on our body, all of that, everything is vibration, and it all counts. Mm-hmm. It all counts. And so in listening to our bodies in these various ways, along with the muscle testing, along with the dowsing, along with the tuning forks, along with the voice and the meditations and the informing, it all counts. It all counts. So I just think that that's a beautiful thing to really, really grasp. And if you're out in the audience and you want to know more, you can ask any one of us because we're all very, very familiar with this work. And I know that we're coming up on an hour. So I'm going to go to Anna and I'm going to ask Anna, what is it that you would want the audience to know? Anything that you want to share with the audience just on this topic? Any further information?
I think if it's one thing that I would like for everybody to hear and remember is you deserve to feel healthy. You do deserve to feel good. No matter what diagnosis, no matter how long you've been suffering for, you do deserve to feel good. And I think from there, the miracles happen, the magic happen. You will find a right person to help you. You will find the right modality of healing, because there's so much. We could probably talk about this topic for another couple hours. There's so much available out there. But when we come from that place of I deserve to feel good, we're going to ripple that energy out and we will find the solution. And I think that will be my takeaway, if I can plant a seed in everybody that's listening and move forward from that.
Beautiful. Sara Jane?
Really, just a different word. Love yourself. Learn to love yourself. And yet know that you are worthy of everything. This isn't it, as they say, you are worthy of all the love that you give to everybody else and more. Give some of the love that you give to others to yourself and let yourself receive it. And there are many of us who are givers and we struggle with the receiving. And as one of the angel cards I pulled one time, it was let yourself receive. You get so much pleasure from giving to others. Allow others the pleasure of giving to you. Let yourself be the love you deserve so that you may receive the love you deserve.
Thank you, Sara Jane. And I would just finish it up with ignite your self-healing by understanding that you are enough. You are enough and you possess and have all that you need to contribute fully to your own healing journey. And if you don't feel that you have enough, then that's the time to check out and get assistance. And on that note, I'm going to ask Anna, why don't you tell our audience where they can reach out to you, how they can contact you, where you're available, before we turn it over to Sara Jane to finish us up.
Wonderful. Yeah, if anybody is curious about my work or wanted to schedule, I offer a free discovery session. If anybody wanted to just kind of see if we are a good match and see if how can I help you, they can go to my website, is www.behealthywithana. It's BE, like B, and healthy with Ana, it's ANA.com. And they can learn more about what I do and my work and be able to reach out and get more information if anybody's curious.
Thank you so much for all of your beautiful work and sharing. We really, really appreciate it. Sara Jane.
Yes, thank you, Anna. And folks, Gift of Healing TV website, the today's conversation pages, you will find Anna's information there. You'll find mine and Enolia's and all our previous guests as well. So please go and check on that, including the link to the website. For those of you that are watching the video via YouTube, then you will find all those links to us underneath in the information below so that you can connect with whoever feels right for you. And that's what I would say, go with the energies of the individual that feels right to you. And I know, bless you, you're coughing your head off. Okay, so in a couple of weeks' time, Wednesday, the 28th of July, we are being joined by Jackie King. Now, I'm going to be very honest about this. Jackie's my little sister. She is also the founder of If Everyone Cares and adoddle.org. So,
She's phenomenal.
And we are going to be talking about working together, benefits, strengths, and weaknesses. And it is about everybody working together. Our conversation has been about together, about sharing. Today, but we're going to be talking about that. So I hope that you'll join us for that. But you can find this program, you can find all the programs on the catch-up pages of today's conversation as well. If you go to the Gift of Healing TV website, and I will put the link under the video so that you can find those as well. So please do we do these programs to support and help everybody. Conversations that hopefully people enjoy listening to and learn something from. Thank you to Anna, our beautiful guest, to Enolia, my beautiful co-host.
Thank you.
And to all our viewers, thank you very much for joining us. Take care, be safe, stay well. Namaste, sweet souls.
Namaste.
Aho. Bye.